by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome into the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. As always, we are your hosts, Fry, and that is Wesley Watkins.
What's up, guys?
Find him on Twitter if you can. Good luck.
Not gonna happen.
So as we go into this week, everyone is very excited because you know what? Football's back.
Yes,
Football
it
is back.
About time.
So you could hear Wes is already popping off. He's trying to get his football belly ready for the season to be painted on.
Trying to get crunk.
It is hard to be sad with such an exciting time, even across the pond, because football's back over here too. We're 3 weeks in.
Now, are you talking about like American football or the English football?
So I don't want to do a quote from the terrible Kevin Costner movie, Draft Day, or not Draft Day, pardon me. What's the one where he gets his daughter stole? Yeah, it's Draft Day. It's Draft Day, pardon me, where he goes, no. I'm talking about the real football. No, it's European football just started up about 2 weeks ago. They're on week 3 here, and it's been a very exciting time here. And I don't want to lead in too far to that because that has to do with what has me sad this week. But I want to start with what has you sad, Wes.
For me, it's Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau, one of my favorite Ducks.
Ducks.
Yeah.
He said duck there, everyone. Ducks.
Kiss my butt. Anyways, but yeah, he was a top draft pick in this last year's draft, and he's going to be out for like 4 weeks or so because he got hit by a dirty play, a little low chop block that sprained his MCL, so he's going to be out like 4 weeks or something. And this is kind of the thing that sucks about preseason, you know. You have all these rookies that are trying to prove themselves, and then like it could all just change in an instant.
Yeah, and that's one of those blocks that the NFL's been trying to get rid of. I know a lot of the emphasis right now is on protecting the offense, right? Because people want to see people score points and throw long passes. But let's not diminish the fact that they're trying to protect all the players, and that's one of the ways they've tried to protect the defensive players is getting rid of those illegal chop blocks where you're taking out guys' MCLs and ACLs and getting rid of those crackback blocks, right, where a guy's unexpected and they get concussed because they get just throttled on the side. And I cannot remember the safety, but there's a famous quote, or it might have been a wide receiver, where he said, I'd much rather be hitting the head than the knees. Yeah. He's like, the knees, that's your whole career.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking from experience, I tore my ACL when I was skiing, and I haven't been able to ski the same ever since. So it sucks.
Yeah, you qualified for New Mexico's tryouts, right, for the Olympics, like the state tryouts for New Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have done any good, but, you know, for, the ghetto that is New Mexico, I feel like I was okay.
Wow, shot at New Mexico for no reason. Just
well, I mean, if you go to Colorado or New Mexico,
I would rather be in New Mexico.
If you go to Colorado or Utah, those are some serious skiers that I had no chance against. But you know,
the ghetto that is New Mexico. In fact, now I want to look up who New Mexico Olympians are just to see. I'm not going to do it during this show, but I'm going to make a note. New Mexican Olympians.
There is none. Spoiler alert, there is none.
I bet there is. I bet you're wrong. You're forgetting that the great Brian Urlacher and Danny Granger came from New Mexico.
But they're not Olympians.
Olympians. We're going to find out. Oh, and who's the other guy? The guy that never hit his talent level in the NFL. Landon, the quarterback from OU. Oh, God, he played for the Steelers. Is it Landon Bell?
You got me there. You got me there.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I can't think of it. It's going to hurt me. And some of you have noticed this is the pain of being without a producer. She can look these things up for me on cue and make me look super smart.
We miss you, Taylor.
But I cannot remember his name. But, yeah, he played for Oklahoma, was like a 4th-round pick to the Steelers. He was from New Mexico. And then I think he played in the USFL for a little while, but he was terrible in the NFL.
Was he a Lobo?
Just awful. No, he was I told you, OU.
Everyone's a Lobo.
Man, that community, like, say what you want, but Albuquerque is a dope sports scene. Like, Albuquerque shows up for the Isotopes, for New Mexico United, for UNM. Like, they're there.
So do their cops. So do their cops. I got I got kicked out of a couple Isotope games.
What is with New Mexico just taking strays just left and right from West? You loved your time there. I want to be very clear, New Mexico. We love you. I love you. New Mexico United is up on my wall. They're about to make the playoffs this season. I'm pretty stoked about that. They just won their game last week, 2-0. So enough about what has me excited. Anyway, shout out New Mexico United. They were always really great to us whenever we went to the games. It's a great environment. But what made me sad is European football. My team out here in the Premier League, Aston Villa, just got throttled after scoring a goal in the first 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, right? Ollie Watkins, amazing goal with an amazing feed from Leon Bailey, and I'm like, yes. And then a friend of mine.
Sorry, what was his name? Was his name Watkins?
Ollie Watkins, yeah, Ollie Watkins. I don't think you're related.
No, I'm pretty sure
his skin tone's slightly darker than yours, but just a slightly darker complexion.
I'll have you know I'm 1% Eastern African, okay? I took a 23andMe, all right? So you never know.
And now they have all of your DNA.
Yeah.
Now you can't murder me like you've been dreaming of. It's just that they'll know right away.
Shucks.
So, but say they come out immediately, 1-0, and I yelled in my house, and my window was open because there's no AC here, and it's super hot, unlike what everybody says about England. And 5 minutes later, 6 minutes later, they score. Crystal Palace scores. And then they score again. And then they score again. And I'm just like, this is hell. I'm living in a fresh hell. And they end up winning 3-1. And our coach, Gerard, is now, they're saying he's safe. And I don't like calling for people's jobs. Like, that's not my thing to do. I don't want to ever play in somebody else's pocketbook. Even though we're going to do a bit of that later today with some college football deals. But it's not my thing to decide how much money somebody gets or to call for their job. But just watching him on the sidelines, like he looks like he doesn't care. Like he's not passionate, you know. He always looks like he looks like he knows he's on camera and wants to peer in deep thought. That's how he looks. Like he's playing to the camera. And he's like, I'm in very deep thought right now. Don't bother me. I'm thinking. And it's like, no, you're not, because there's been no changes, no formation changes, no lineup changes. The substitutions came 10 minutes too late in the game. So I was pretty sad about that because I'm really stoked to be here. And on paper, Villa's got at least a mid-table team, and they just keep taking it, right? They've won a game, and it was last week, but they've dropped 2. So they've got a negative goal differential, which actually comes into play pretty big, especially when it comes to relegation time and top table time. So we'll see. That had me upset.
How far? So I'm not too familiar with UK geography. How far away is Aston Villa's stadium from where you are?
So they're in Birmingham. So Birmingham is about a 40-minute drive, and I think like an hour-long train ride.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
So you're gonna
the
go,
thing
right?
is, yeah, 100%. Once we get everything straightened out here. Now that we got the house, our household goods are here, and I'm still hanging stuff on the wall. My UCLA, you would have laughed your ass off, but my UCLA fell off my wall because the windows are open, right? Like, you don't have, like, screens here either. There's no screens on the windows. So whatever dust and stuff blows in, I had it hanging on those super strong grips, those 3M grips. This is what men hang things on. Yeah, exactly. And I had it hanging on that. Yeah, and the dust just blew it right off. Like, the dust got underneath the tape, and because you know when you touch the back of like something you have hanging, you're like, oh shit, there's no stick here anymore. Yeah. That's what happened. And it freaked me out because I was watching. I think it was actually during the soccer game. I was watching the soccer game in here, or Euro football. And
gotta make that distinction here now.
Yeah, exactly. I just heard this big come down behind me, right? And for the audience listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, That was me making an exaggerated symbol with my arms coming down.
Yeah, watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, check us out on YouTube. Check us out everywhere. Watch us absolutely everywhere. We are everywhere now. We've infiltrated Amazon. Bezos is a partner. Not yet, but stay tuned.
So question, because I don't really know. How did you end up becoming an Aston Villa fan?
Yeah, no. So you know me, like I'm a glutton for punishment, especially with all my sports teams. Like I've adopted the Seattle Kraken,
Raiders
right?
Suck.
Man, that's the team that's like just had my heart for my whole life. That's my biggest allegiance, kind of like you are to Oregon, right? Like even if Oregon ends up in the Mountain West, you're still going to be an Oregon fan forever. Like it's not going to matter. Yeah. Come on, Phil Knight would never let that happen.
No, we're going to the Big Ten, baby.
Yeah, but I've always been a big soccer fan, as you know, all the way back to our dorm days playing FIFA, right?
Don't get me started on FIFA. I hate that game. You and Alex.
Yes. It led to many temper tantrums and things being thrown across rooms, controllers being disintegrated.
I didn't know Jesus wore flip-flops.
So you come down in your Jesus sandals. Some funny quotable things have happened back then. But yeah, so I've been a fan for a long time, but I would watch Premier League passively because of the time zones, you know? And I'm from California, so it was always on insanely early in California. But I typically root for like an Everton because Everton at the time had all the American players, you know, the Tim Howards, the Landon Donovans. I think even Dempsey played for Everton for a time.
Shit.
So yeah, I would root for Everton. Due to that connection, right? Because we're all looking for connection in our sports teams, whether whatever it is, it's almost like a nationalism, but for your team, right? Where I came from, things like that. And I started to work with a guy from Birmingham, and he's like, "Well, why do you even like Everton?" I told him why. He's like, "That's a stupid reason to like a team." He's like, "You should like Aston Villa." He's like, "Look at our history. We were one of the original teams in the Premier League." I was like, "Screw it. All right." Like, I don't really have any loyalty to Everton. I just kind of root for them because that's where all the Americans play. And I'm a loyal guy. So for 10 years now that I've invested myself in Aston Villa, I've been a fan. So I'm saddled with it. It's funny because the year after I started liking them, they got relegated, right? So I had to be with them through the Champs League seasons. And once they were promoted again, I was a part of that. It was amazing because it was in the playoff. One of our best players who was purchased by Man City, Jack Grealish, had some amazing games in the Champions League, and they were promoted, and the team looks good on paper now. So yeah, that's the story of my fandom with Aston Villa. And you know my story with the Kraken, but it's not hockey season yet, but we'll get into that. It was kind of like, you know, I was a Ducks fan because of the Mighty Ducks, and that's not really a real reason to root for a team. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to root for a team from – I've never had a team from grassroots. And you and I went to a couple games of the inaugural season, even the May 2nd game or the March 2nd game, right, where they had like the 40% discount on all the merch.
Yeah, 32%. I remember that.
Yeah,
that was fun.
So we were at quite a few. What, 4 games last season?
4 games.
Yeah, because I don't even live there, so that was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time. So Kraken fan for life now, and that's just how it goes. Same with Aston Villa. One thing that I wish would have happened for life was Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm being a bit extreme there.
Okay. Hey, why don't you just move your head a little bit? Your camera a little bit, yeah.
I don't know if you can see it because of the light.
Move your chair a little bit. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Get it in deep.
And hopefully I'll take more advantage of that here in the future. But yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like Watson is a predator, and there are a lot of Browns fans celebrating, and I think it's pathetic because you're really just crapping all over women.
Especially after everything they did to the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It was an honest mistake.
Yeah,
with
sorry,
words.
slip of the tongue. You know,
it's okay. Yeah. And like I said, the judge said they didn't set in a podcast a couple weeks ago. The third-party judge, the original one, the young lady, she had said that there was no precedent for this. But you're right. I mean, you bring up Ben Roethlisberger. There's been so many. Greg Hardy, Kamara. Not Kamara. Jesus, I keep doing that to Kamara. Not Kamara. Alvin Kamara did not do this. who's old boy for the Browns, the running back for the Browns, played for the Chiefs.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, backs up Nick Chubb. But he had an incident also where he ran into some violence against women as well. Now, not the same. He did not sexually assault anyone. I want to be very clear.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. Thank you. That's why I keep doing the Kamara thing. I'm thinking of Kareem. So I keep doing that same thing, and it's screwing me up. But yeah, Kareem Hunt. So there is a precedent against crimes against women in the NFL and how they should be suspended. And she gave him 6 weeks. And obviously, we all knew, we talked about it on the podcast, that it was going to go, they were going to be sued by the, by the NFL was going to appeal the decision. And they're going to look into this and look to extend it. But I was really hoping for a year. And granted, the only other option, I guess what would have made people happy, right, Wes, is if they said he can never play again. Like,
I mean, we all knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, but I think those are the two resolutions. It's either I thought it was either the year or he's banned, and like you said, we all knew he wasn't going to be banned forever. But when it came to this decision, I was disappointed. It looks shady. It looks like they got with the TV partners, right? Because guess what game he comes back for?
Well, he's coming back 2 weeks before the Browns, so he comes back for the Tom Brady.
No, they have a bye week. They have a bye week before that. So, yes, typically that is 11 weeks, right? But there's a bye week before that, and it's not 11 weeks, it's 11 games.
Yeah.
So that would be the 11th game. So the week following, he comes back for
the Texans.
Houston.
Of course, yeah.
So it looks shady, right? It looks weird.
Yeah, that's pretty shady, of course. I mean, of course he's going to come back for the big game against his old team. I mean...
And it's going to be a huge talking point. It's going to draw in an audience. It looks programmed, right?
Yeah.
And I believe the game is in Houston. So...
Yeah, it's in Houston. So there's going to be a whole bunch of Texans fans. So it'll be interesting to see how they react to Deshaun Watson, the Predator.
I feel terrible for the women in Houston. Now, if we look into all the claims, it's looking at like it was across multiple areas of Texas.
What about the women in Cleveland? You don't care about them?
No, of course not. No, of course I do. But like I said on the podcast, check it out, the Obscure Sports podcast we did. You saw the ruling, right? Deshaun Watson's not allowed to get any massages outside of the team-employed masseuses. Not approved, not team-approved masseuses. Team-employed masseuses. He can only get massages in the Cleveland Browns facility.
That's how you know that you did something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many admissions of guilt in this, including the 5. Now, remember, the NFL only presented the third-party judge with 5 women. 5 out of
30. And
it could have been a potential 60, is what people are saying, right? That some women just didn't come forward with it.
Oh, probably.
And it's crazy. Yeah, especially with the way the women that did come forward were treated. Like, it's terrible. Stop listening to the media and start listening to the victims, because it's really getting ridiculous. And men, that's the perfect way to prove you're a misogynist, is you're unwilling to hear the woman that's like, no, he abused me. He mentally fucked me because of what he did to me. You know? And it's a huge issue with society is victim shaming and victim blaming. And what did they have to gain from, they got paid out? Yeah, it's probably not worth their careers, their jobs. They probably lost high-end clients. Like, you don't have any idea what mentally they're going to go through, years of trauma, especially the one the story I told you weeks ago of him forcing her up against the wall and then telling her she had nothing to worry about while ejaculating onto her. Okay?
That's totally normal.
That's every massage ends like that, right?
Yeah.
So, totally disappointed in the NFL for that. $5 million is a drop in the bucket as he just signed the highest guaranteed money contract ever.
I hope he fails.
I mean, and I'm on the same bucket, and I hate doing that. And you know that you always make fun of me because I'm like, man, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But this guy is awful, and he shows no remorse. He essentially admitted he did it, but in the statement where he was interviewed, and he's like, I hope that all the people that were impacted by this. Anyway, I apologize. He said, I apologize for anyone that was impacted. So not really admitting guilt while admitting guilt, but that was with an actual Cleveland Browns reporter, like a team reporter.
Yeah.
It's insane to me.
I mean, that was carefully crafted by his lawyers and stuff like that, to not admit guilt, but at the same time express sympathy.
Yeah, and I suppose when it comes to goats, you could say he's the goat of sexually assaulting women and getting away with it. So from one goat to another, Tom Brady, is this a story or not? Is it a big deal that he's missing practices? I mean, he's back this week, but
who cares? Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I mean, he's going to be prepared no matter what. Like, who cares if he didn't show up for practice for the first time ever? He's going to come in. Like, he knows the offense. He knows the playbook. And it doesn't matter. Give him some time alone with his wife, his supermodel wife, whatever. Let him go on vacation to the Bahamas with her. He's earned it. They're lucky.
Yeah, 20 years.
They're lucky he even came back this year.
2 decades of practice and 7 Super Bowls says he's good.
If it wasn't for like all the tampering BS, he would be somewhere else right now. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't really want to get into that story because it's been so well covered by local podcasts and local radio stations down there. Pardon me, but yeah. So Tom Brady tried to buy the piece of the Dolphins.
Yeah. Why not?
Like that almost happened. If you don't know the story, Google it. It's all over different podcasts out of Miami. It was a very popular story down in Miami. But yeah, they tried to steal Tom Brady and Sean Payton.
Yeah,
all at once. They went for it though. You can't hate on them for going for it. Now they broke all the rules, but hell, at least they rolled the dice and tried to see.
Right.
If you're gonna cheat like Bill Belichick.
Yeah. There you
go.
go.
The other big story involving quarterbacks, perhaps the last one, is Baker Mayfield was named as a starter for Week 1, and I'm not surprised. Are you surprised by that?
No. Again, like this all kind of like goes back to ratings. I mean, you got the Panthers and Browns. You got Baker Mayfield going up against his former team that he kind of feels like they burned him, and they did.
I think they did.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And you know what? Good. I hope he crushes the fuck out of the Browns. I hope the Browns go 0-17 this year. I was about to say 16, and then I remembered, hey, you know what? Greed got the better of the NFL. We have 17 games now because that makes so much sense.
You got them breaking records? The first ever team to go 0-17?
Yeah, first ever team with 17 losses. Thanks a lot.
It's crazy, too. They have so much talent on that team, and it's so disgusting what they did. And Baker Mayfield led them to the playoffs. They tried to treat him like he was actually, I would say, a top 15 quarterback, right? He's not the best ever, but also last season he was playing with, what was it, like a cracked shoulder blade, hairline fracture in his ankle, a broken toe, and then he hurt his career by going out the first team.
And then you got the Seahawks who are sticking with Drew Lock and Geno Smith.
Drew Lock looked so bad in the preseason game.
I'm sorry. So I wouldn't know because I have not watched a Seahawks preseason game yet because at this point I don't care about preseason anymore. Like it doesn't matter.
I think as we get older, right, as we get older as fans too, we're not as invested in what we've known to be unimportant.
Yeah.
It's basically like a live practice game.
Yeah.
The thing that sucks is we have people like Kayvon Thibodeau get hurt. The Las Vegas Raiders are going through it right now. We lost 2 right tackles in the preseason so far. Yeah. 2 of them. One for the season. And the Raiders also are a team that is pretty stacked with talent this year. And we're losing players to injury. And if you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a team. So that's the one downside to preseason. But like you said, it's a glorified practice.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of practice, a little off topic here, but what's your opinion on those joint practices?
I think it's just a way for them to get a different look in practice, but they're publicized because it's preseason and there's nothing going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is not. I've been doing this since high school. right? Since high school, we've had with teams that are not in your division, right? Your direct division that you're not going to play twice a year. I've had practices with teams outside of our division, right, to get a look at a different offense or a different style to show us what's going to happen. Like in 7-on-7 drills over the summer, we travel all over the state of California, like all the way to Sacramento, to Pittman, to Grants, like to get different looks at different athletes on different teams, especially when our team was a top-ranked team in Division IV in California. We were going to big schools and like getting a look at what we might see during the season. So this is a normal thing when it comes to football. But why is it publicized? Because it's preseason.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, there were like everything that was publicized, I feel like, was all about like the fights and stuff that happened.
What draws our attention? We are a Neanderthal society that loves violence, man.
Right. I mean, why do we love football? Violence.
Yes, we. Why do you think we're so transfixed with things like ancient Rome and ancient Britain and ancient, like all these wars and blood and guts and sand, right?
Warrior
like,
societies.
Yeah, we're built on it, and it's almost integrated into our DNA to love that violence, that conflict, that mano-a-mano type sports, right? That's why we love UFC. And I don't want to actually skip over this. You're not off topic at all. I mean, that's right on target, right? Because the Raiders are meeting with – I need to stop saying right. It's getting on my nerves. Anyway, the Raiders have a joint practice with the Patriots, and I get that because it's a chance for the Raiders offense to get a look at a really good defensive mind. Now, I don't think they have a great unit this year. I think that team's probably going to go 7-10. But it's a great defensive mind in Belichick. And I hate admitting that, but he is good at defense. He is good at shutting down an offense's best weapon. And it's a good look for them. So why do you ask? Because you just want to talk about the fights?
Yeah, pretty much.
They've been all over this season, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, because like we were talking about practice, and I mean I think this was the first year that they started doing joint practices. So
no, forever. Oh. I'm doing it forever.
Well, I'm an idiot.
No, you're fine. You like you said, you don't pay attention to preseason. You wait for the regular season to start. And then you go. Plus, for a lot of preseason, college football is going on, so you have better things to do than watch preseason football. And it's also preseason football is the last-stage efforts for you to get in a good summer. You know, it's at the end of your summer. You know, the games don't really matter. You're researching fantasy, which I'm behind on.
Summer goes on forever. Don't tell me it's about to end.
It's the forever summer. But yeah, no, it's been a thing that's been ongoing for a long time. And speaking of gladiator sports, I don't want to go too far without acknowledging congratulations to Leon Edwards knocking out Kamaru Usman.
5th round, dude. Last minute of the 5th round. My God.
It was nuts.
He faked him out with the punch and then just got him with the kick, dude.
One of my favorite tweets was Kamaru Usman on his back and his eyes were like still open, and somebody tweeted
last. He was fucking last, bro.
Someone tweeted that boy sent him to the shadow realm.
Dude, and I didn't want Kamaru. Honestly, I'm kind of interested to see what Colby Covington's tweeted since then, but I haven't looked. But I'm kind of afraid to look.
He's gonna tweet something stupid because he can't help himself, and he lives in the moment, right? He's very recency bias oriented, and he forgets he got his ass whooped twice. So maybe one of the times he got his jaw broken.
Yeah, kudos to Leon Edwards, man. He did it. Kamaru Usman was the number 2 pound for pound fighter right now.
Number one pound for pound. Yeah,
I thought Israel was number 1.
No. Everybody's bored of Israel because Israel doesn't fight anymore. Israel just goes out there. He goes out there not to lose. And that's his style, and it's boring and not fun to watch. But that's what he does.
That's what that's his thing. That's what a lot of fighters do, though. Like once they get to
GSP.
That level.
GSP was famous for it. And you know this because, again, you were around me in my younger years. Like, I really liked GSP until he started doing that. I'm like, this is so boring.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good. At that point, they're just so good. I don't want to distract from that point. They're doing this because they can. Because they're so talented that they know anything you throw at them, they're ready for. Anything you throw at them, they're better than at you. Right?
Yeah.
And it was just hard to watch Israel lately. But Kamaru was still putting on pretty entertaining fights, even though he was dominating them.
Yeah, that was a good fight. He was gonna win up until he got his fucking brains knocked in.
Yeah, you need to. I'll send you the video. I think I retweeted it. There's a cool video that somebody put to the Rocky 2 music when he knocks out Apollo for the first time,
Jesus.
and it's like the coach talking to Leon Edwards in the corner, like trying to pump him up, and then when the instruments hit their high note, when they're like, like it shows him head kick Kamaru Usman and knock him out. So it's pretty awesome. Now, because we're starting to run lower on time, I'm going to skip over James Harden getting skinny. You know what? I liked you better when you were fat, James Harden. You're the most difficult player to watch in the whole world, but I liked you better when you were fat.
I think everyone wishes he was as jacked as him.
You think he's jacked?
Yeah, he looks hella jacked. Are you kidding me?
I thought he looked like he hasn't eaten.
No. It looked to me like he did like a UFC cut where he's just fucking ripped now.
Go on, talk to me about it, because I hate his game, but
I feel like he's going to be able to put in a lot more minutes this year.
That's it. That's your thing.
That's it. I mean, what do you want from me? It's just him being jacked. Like,
I love your analysis of his
offseason workout program. Do you want me to go into detail on all the striations in his muscles and how vascular he is?
Ooh, that was a sexy word, striations.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny that your analysis of James Harden's offseason is, I think he's going to go ahead and be able to play. I think he's going to be able to play this year.
I think he's going to get a lot more minutes. I don't know what you want from me.
Well, You were with me during the Warriors Rockets.
I'm good. I'm proud of him, for losing weight and just getting shredded,
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's been spending his whole offseason in strip clubs like prior years.
Yeah, he doesn't look like Feast Mode, Eddie Lacy.
Yeah. So Feast Mode, that poor guy. He was so bullied, man.
Maybe you shouldn't eat fucking 20 hamburgers a day, bro. That's all I'm saying.
If I had that money, I might eat 20 meals of Taco Bell a day. I'm not going to lie.
Fat fuck.
Oh, look at you, just not acknowledging that you love Taco Bell. All right?
I'm going to go ahead and say... Guilty as charged.
As far as nationwide chains are concerned, chains that are plentiful, not just have one store in Los Angeles, right? Plentiful chains across the nation, Taco Bell's my favorite. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, Taco Bell's definitely my fast food guilty pleasure.
Yeah. And I'm not saying In-N-Out's not better. In-N-Out's just localized. It's not national. Yeah. And I'm not saying Shake Shack isn't great. It just has 2 stores in California.
Get your shit together, In-N-Out.
What's that?
I said get your shit together, In-N-Out.
Yeah, get everywhere. I think they're in Oregon, bro. They're in Eugene.
They're slowly making their way up north.
So speaking of Oregon, we didn't really get your full thoughts on the NCAA leaving you behind. They left you behind. Well, not the NCAA, but the Pac-12 is essentially swimming in shark-infested waters with no life raft.
We're going to end up in the Big Ten eventually, okay? I mean, it's Big Ten and Notre Dame are slow playing everything, but the Big Ten just signed a massive deal. It was, what was it? It was $5 billion for 5 years, I think it was. And each team is getting $100 million a year. It's crazy because if you look at the current Pac-12 deal that they signed 10 years ago, they signed a 12-year deal, and it was $3 billion, I think. And so every team got $25 million a year, and it was it was massive at the time. But the thing is, they signed for 12 years, and so now it's you're literally getting 4 times as much right now because so much has changed in the college football landscape, and it's Pac-12 shot themselves in the foot. They're getting left behind. But the thing is, Oregon's going to be fine because we have Nike. At least I hope. So we'll be fine. I mean, I think our ultimate landing spot is going to be the Big Ten. It just might be a year or two until that gets announced. Yeah. But
well, I think the merger fell through, right? With the Big Ten tried to do a merger with what's left of the 12, of the Big 12, or pardon me, the Pac-12 tried to do a merger with what's left of the Big 12 after Texas and Oklahoma have left.
Yeah.
And that fell through, right? They ended up not
for whatever
striking
reason.
a deal.
For whatever reason,
That's crazy.
Well, I think if Oregon and Washington leave, which they probably will, and like go to the Big Ten, I think the Big 12 and Pac-12 are going to have no other choice but to merge what's left and become another 16-team conference.
Well, it's all transparent now. Now we always knew it was a big money grab in college football. We always knew that.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, all right, everybody, screw it. COVID happened. We all love money. This is what's happening. And sports is the only appointment television left, right? It's the only television that's live and you have to watch, because if you don't watch, you get the results on your phone like that.
Yeah.
So you think Oregon will go with Washington then?
Yeah, I think Oregon and Washington are a Pac-12 or are a package deal at this point.
Not Oregon State.
No one cares about Oregon State. They don't have the they don't have the market. They don't have the money. Washington brings in the Seattle market, which is fucking massive, and they have a lot of fans, and they still bring a lot of money, and they have a massive alumni base. Like, probably like tenfold what Oregon State's alumni base is. So
they're also a team that I think is a sleeping giant. They've never done. So yeah, they've never done anything, but they've never tried really.
Chris Peterson had them going in a really good direction, and if Chris Peterson had stuck around and not just gotten burnt out, they could have been a force to be reckoned with, like up there with like USC, like back in the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, I can see why he got burnt out, though, because look at what he was able to do with Boise State, and then he tried to bring that over to Washington.
Boise State, and like Boise State, like who would think Boise State's any good? But yeah, he took Washington, he made them good, he put them into the playoffs like a couple years after the debacle with Steve Sarkisian when he was just getting shit-faced everywhere. And
man, Boise State ruined one of your best prospective years ever, right at the beginning. The LeGarrette Blount punch.
The beginning of the Chip Kelly area. Oh, God. Well, to be fair, that guy probably deserved it.
Yeah, he was in his face. That's all that poor man is going to be remembered for the rest of his life is, aren't you the guy LeGarrette Blount knocked out? Right. So I was thinking, the reason I posed that question is, do you think it's going to be Oregon, Washington? Is I think they're doing this huge $1 billion deal to put. You said it includes NBC, right?
Yeah. So it includes Fox, NBC, and CBS, like the big three networks outside of ABC, which is owned by freaking ESPN. But yeah, and it's worth $1 billion a year, which is insane.
I think they're trying to lure Notre Dame out of independence.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Because you're snagging NBC, which has Notre Dame rights. So
yeah, they have all the rights to Notre Dame. So if they want to keep the rights exclusively to Notre Dame, they're going to have to pony up the dough to Notre Dame. They're going to make Notre Dame a $200, $300, $400, $500 million a year school if they want to keep them independent.
It's not going to happen. So I think what's going to happen is that the network's also going to put pressure on Notre Dame to join the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I think the ACC is going to try to put pressure on Notre Dame as well. I think the ACC is trying to get Notre Dame. Yeah. And they've already kind of, remember, Notre Dame plays a partial ACC schedule, right? So I think the ACC has already attempted this, and now Big 12 or Big 10's part of me is like, all right, ACC, you get a partial Notre Dame season. Well, here's 5 billion reasons why Notre Dame should join our conference. So that's what I was thinking. But you're right, Washington is a huge market, and you've always maintained that the real rivalry for Oregon is Washington.
Yeah,
that's the rivalry that Oregon has.
Yeah, for the past 15 years, Oregon State's been the little brother that no one cares about because they always just get their asses kicked.
They choke it up.
Sorry to any Beavers fan who might be watching, but it sucks to suck.
It's true. Like, I honestly haven't even thought about Oregon State since the Rogers era, right? Since they had Jaquiz Rogers and his brother.
Yeah.
Like, that's really the last time I was like, oh, Oregon State might be good. You better watch out. I think, what is it, Sean Mannion? Was that their quarterback?
Yeah, they've been irrelevant since the early 2000s, so like 20 years now.
Yeah, it's been bad for them, and it's been bad for I think we're going to live in an era, too, when teams just start bringing in coaches that they had a little bit of success with. They start bringing them back because they're like, just give us a little bit of that feel good, a little bit of that hope again. that made us feel like we were relevant.
That's kind of how it is with Washington State, though, too. I mean, because like Washington is going to leave them behind, and Washington State hasn't really been relevant since Drew Bledsoe.
No, Mike Leach.
Yeah,
Mike Leach.
Mike Leach a little bit, but yeah.
Bro, Gardner Minshew, the stash, wearing jean shorts into games.
That's true, but I mean, he had a good spot on the Jags, and everyone on the Jags loved him. But
the game before our big, I think your first Spartan race ever, before you got into this super triathlon mode, right? When you were just starting to want to round yourself into shape because you wanted to because you were going to try out for a pilot school, and then COVID happened, so COVID ruined your dreams.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to bring up sour stuff. Wow, look at that facial expression change. Watch us on YouTube. Watch us on YouTube so you can see Wes's facial expression immediately go to the ultimate sadness.
Fuck you, yeah. Sad fan right here. Fuck you.
It's the past. It's gone. It's got to happen. But I remember you were so excited to tell me about a game that involved Washington State, and it was like you were like, dude, there was like 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Washington State against UCLA.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. That was what was that? That game was like 70 to 65 or something ridiculous. I don't remember.
Yeah, and they won on like a fumble. Yeah. I want to say. So I don't know, man. The Pac-12 it brought us so much memories, and I'm very sad to see it go. It's a huge staple, but money talks, man. Money over tradition, right?
It does. Unfortunately, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Rose Bowl. But
now, you know, it will be interesting to see what happens with the Rose Bowl. But, you know, it's also going to be interesting to see what happens with Dennis Rodman here. First he explored North Korea, now where is he exploring, Wes?
So Dennis Rodman is he's taking a little trip to Russia, and he's going to try and do one of his hero moves and free Brittany Griner. The State Department's like, we have nothing to do with this, but he's like, I'm gonna free her.
And she should be free. I wish she was free. We talked about it last week. But yeah, she should be free. But I mean, all I can think of when Dennis Rodman tries to fix things is that epic rant he went on SportsCenter with North Korea when he goes into that demonic voice. And he starts screaming about how we've got it all wrong, and later came out and stated he was going through a time of depression and on like antidepressants and drinking when he shouldn't have been, and all this stuff starts coming out. I'm like, bro, you blew it.
Yeah,
it's over.
I wish that guy had nothing but luck, but I would not be surprised if we're talking about him in like a month or so saying, oh, hey, Dennis Rodman got arrested in Russia.
Man, I really hope nothing worse happens to him. I really hope nothing works. I mean, you're screwing with a guy that's obviously lost his mind, and he's trying to salvage some form of relevance in society outside of just being the totalitarian leader of Russia for pretty much my entire lifetime, perhaps my entire lifetime, right? Yeah. He's trying to salvage something more than that as a legacy by attacking a country that had done nothing to him. Right, in Ukraine, and now for him to get involved in that, I don't want to see anything bad happen to him outside of maybe fighting somebody in Russia, which will land him in jail right next to Brittany Griner. Right, that is not a society that you want to screw with, especially right now. But one thing we would like you to screw with is our social media feeds and our YouTube page. Now we're gonna leave Dennis Rodman alone. We're gonna get more news on this as soon as it happens. Perhaps the state stops it, but you can always reach out to us and see what we think if something happens on Twitter at The Sad Fan, or you can reach out to me, or pardon me, The Sad Fan Podcast is where you get, at The Sad Fan Pod is where you're going to get our entire team. You can reach me at The Sad Fan, and you can find Wesley, I believe, only in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
Only in the comments section.
If you're lucky, I'll check the comments.
He will. We'll make him. If you comment at Wes, he will respond, I promise. And it might be like, you dick.
I'm an old curmudgeon. I hate social media.
For making him log in. Yeah, he's a shadow follower. He might catfish Manti Te'o. I'm sorry, Manti. I know the documentary came out. I actually adore Manti Te'o. Watch it on Netflix. Watch it on Netflix. It was great, and I actually adore Manti. I'm sorry. That was an unnecessary shot, but Wes shot strays, and now I've shot one of my own.
Well, I need to watch it. We'll have to talk about it on one of these upcoming episodes.
Yeah, let's map it for next week. But thank you so much for joining us. As always, again, reach us on all of the social media. Taylor will be back with us next week, 100%.
Everyone tell Taylor how much you missed her.
Drop it in the comments. And again, we are available now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Stitcher, Radio Public, wherever you get your podcasts, get us. And if I'm not on one, reach out to us. We'll get it set up for you wherever you listen to your podcast.
Reach us on podcast.ru.gov.
Thank you for everything. We love you guys. And as always, subscribe, rate, review, and enjoy.
See ya.